Hi, welcome to First Presbyterian Church of LaGrange. Curious presentation for those who are interested in learning more and membership. My name is Jonathan Krogh. I'm the pastor of First Presbyterian Church of LaGrange, and in the next few moments, you're going to have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about our community of faith, about what it means to be Presbyterian, but most importantly, for you to meet some of the people who help make our community of faith thrive, joyful, and strong. I hope that in the weeks ahead, you'll have a chance to meet them face to face and increase your ability and opportunity to fellowship with us, to learn, to worship, and experience our joy. Our 2022 stewardship theme is FPCLG, a home for hope. And I hope that you will find this as your church home and discover all of the opportunities that this community of faith, guided by God's Spirit, allows us to be. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I'm Steve Nipstein, moderator of membership, and would like to introduce some of the other members of our congregation that actually work very hard to bring some of our small groups to life. These are groups that our members join and really engage with our church. And so I thought I'd start with Emily Calamine to talk a little bit about our Christian education.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Emily Calamine. I've been a member of First Pres for probably about 16 or 17 years and involved in the children's programs probably for about most of that time. And right now, I'm super excited about what's going on with our kids programs at First Pres because we are both running our Faith Forest programming on Sundays during the service and simultaneously looking for our next director of Christian education. And I want to mention Olivia Hein as well, because if you have kids involved at First Pres, you will meet Olivia. Her husband, Chris, is on the meeting tonight. And Olivia and I are working together along with several other members of children's ministry to really gauge the interest of the kids who are coming on Sundays and offer programs that are exciting for them, interesting for them. So we have some Halloween party coming up, some planning for Christmas in December. But I would say our biggest strength is what we're doing on Sundays to build relationships between the kids and help them to see God in the world around them. There's a real focus on putting your faith into action in our children's programs and like I said, building relationships. So if you have kids K-8 who are coming to church with you on Sundays, please look for me or Olivia and we'll point you in the direction of what your kids can be doing during the service.
Thank you, Emily. And now I think I'd like to turn it over to Jay Jacobs, talk a little bit about our adult small groups.
Yes, my name is Jay Jacobs, and I was asked to go into a little depth about what it means to be in a small group. Maybe not so much the specifics of some of the individual small groups in our church, which range from a couple of weekday women's groups and a weekday men's group, even a Saturday morning group that I'm a part of that has met in person and online over the last year or so. All of these things, be it formal or informal or different groups that may meet for a short period of time to discuss something topical. Great program recently by Chris and Olivia Hein doing just that. These are all things that many members just recount that these are some ways that they can get much more deeply involved with their church outside of regular Sunday worship. Not in place of it, but actually each serves its own kind of purpose. And many people feel like they really can establish connections that you may not be able to drum up just from being in the pew next to somebody, where you can really talk over all kinds of different issues or a book and really share what's important to different people. And you can a similar kind of thing you can do by being on a committee or volunteering with someone, but this is kind of in a less formal way that you can find yourself being involved in other people's lives kind of accidentally, and you find yourself praying for them and caring for them and building relationships that become a big part of what it means to be involved in our church. One example, actually, I'm thinking of some of those less common ones is earlier when I was, much earlier when I got involved in our church, we used to have a group that played basketball on Sunday evening. So we didn't really think of that as a small group, but it became a regular thing where, several guys were meeting, Sunday night after Sunday night, and even other people that, joined us unofficially at these pickup games started coming to our church. Not that we were, trying to recruit anyone, but it was, as I say, kind of an accidental way that relationships can be deepened, and the effect of God in our lives can really be known.
Thank you, Jay. Very good. And Allison Metcalf on mission and outreach. Allison, maybe you can talk a little bit about mission and outreach, and also particularly about the Living Waters of the World project.
Hi, yeah, I am. I'm Allison. I'm part of the mission and outreach team, and I'm actually technically the moderator, but really, it's just such a team thing. When we were kind of re-examining ourselves and our purpose a couple, 2-3 years ago, one of the things that we settled on was that, there's a phrase like an act of faith, and faith needs to be action. And so we have really tried to redirect our energies and our efforts into things that are active, that are engaging, that pull people in to do, not simply to write checks. And the most prominent by far initiative that we are orienting around, and that our congregation has rallied around us to support beyond expectation, is called Living Waters for the World. And it's a Presbyterian founded mission that identifies communities internationally and at home, but primarily internationally, who have reliable sources of water, but that water source is not reliably safe to consume, and then creates teams on both ends. And this is very much, it's a language and an intent of partnership. We don't go to help them. We are in partnership and relationship with them. And at our end, the initiating partner, we develop a team who is trained to project manage, to educate, and to help with installment. And we form in this partnership, the contract is called a covenant. We form that covenant through relationship, go into that community, and try to first of all, build a relationship with them, which has been done over time before we arrive there. And then the operational part of the team, the people who do the building of the system, we provide the material resources, but they are coached to build their own water filtration system. And our educational team is there to interact relationally, playfully with members of their community who are going to be educational leaders in order to spread the information, the powerful knowledge within the community of what clean water is, why it's important, when and how to use it. And this is it's a long-term commitment, both to Living Waters for us as a church. We now see ourselves as a water church. And it is also a long-term commitment to the communities with which we partner. We currently have just covenanted with one who is a previously supported system that lost their support. So we're helping them to further their project, and we are ready to covenant with a second community very nearby, so that when we are actually in country, we're going to be able to support these dual communities and hopefully many more to the maximum extent. Anyway, we're really excited. And one thing that I can tell you about that just speaks to the church is we held a fundraiser. It was an online trivia night. We had goals. Not only were the financial goals met, but a family within the church stepped up and literally did a matching donation. So we got in one event, an online event, everything we needed to achieve what our goal was to complete this first covenant and move us into the next one. And that just says a lot about us as a community.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison. I was wondering, maybe I'll open it up for Chris. Hein, not really necessarily anything about any particular group or committee, but maybe a couple of highlights and things that you see that as a member of the church engage you in kind of a faithful way in our community.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So, hi everyone. My name is Chris Hein. I'm one of the elders of the church, and have been coming for I think about 4, maybe 5 years. Time has no meaning after the pandemic started. You know, one of the things that drew us to the church, my wife and I, was the instant connection we started to feel when we walked in the doors. And you know, we come to what you will at some point experience with us is we typically do two different services, a contemporary service and a more classical service. And in the contemporary service, there's a form of confession, which you may have seen in recent services, where somebody gets up and talks extemporaneously from the heart, right? And it's not necessarily like a rote confession. And it was one of those things where, as we joined into those, you got to see the heart of some of the people in the congregation. And what I will say in the years since then is that the heart that you see in those folks has been just borne true over and over again in terms of how much this community cares for one another. And I think that that's something that you're hopefully witness as you're here on a Sunday morning, but also it supersedes that, you know, in all ways as we went through, you know, what was probably the hardest 18 months of many of our lives and continues to be a really challenging time. You know, over and over again for my family, we felt the community of the church step up to be there for us, right? And also give us a chance to be there for other people, which I think is an important part of that process. And so, you know, when I look at why anyone should be part of this church, you know, I think, you know, I'm on the staff committee as one of the elders, and I think we've got a pretty good staff. You know, Jonathan's in my upper right hand corner right now, so I'll at least nod nicely in his direction. But you know, we have great staff. They do great work. But I think the thing that sticks around in a church is the people. You know, and I heard Jay talking about some of the small groups over time, and I think, you know, this church has got a really good group, and I think it's something that we're really excited to continue to grow and expand and have new folks come in and give them opportunities to be part of it as well. So thank you for potentially watching this, even if it's at double speed on the recording. But we look forward and chatting in person at some point.
Thanks, Chris. And Melissa, I don't know if you want to add just any thoughts in terms of ways that touch you and when it comes to our community.
Sure. So my name is Melissa. I've been a member of the church about 7 or 8 years. I just wanted to mention, because I find it pretty common that I grew up Catholic, born and raised, and there are a lot of people in our church that kind of have a similar background. And it's really interesting that, you know, when we moved here to LaGrange from the city and came to the church, you know, again, felt instantly welcomed. And what I've loved most about the church is the ability for me to be involved in different committees and feel like I'm really making an impact. So, you know, I think you can be as involved as you want to be. I've served on various committees. I'm on session, the personnel committee. I volunteer with children's ministry and Faith Forest. And I love the fact that it's not just a place that I go on Sundays, but it's a place that I feel close to the congregation members, but really feel like I can have an impact in what the church is doing and where it's going. And I mean, the volunteer opportunities within the church, but all the different organizations that we work with and support. We've got 2 young kids, and I think it's really important for them to see, you know, the importance of giving and serving others. And I love all the different things that the church does. Obviously, we have an amazing pastor, terrific music, but as a lot of people have said, it comes down to the people. And, you know, I haven't met like a group of more generous, genuine people ever. So, you know, we're thrilled that we joined the church, and, you know, love the opportunity to talk to people that have any questions. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Melissa. That's great. And Troy, anything you would want to add?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I've been a member for 21 years, Troy Kimberling, and you know, initially I remember we had some friends on the block, Beglins, that had actually invited us to join in a service, and we're kind of hooked almost immediately. And it was just the love and friendships that were, you know, evident that already existed here, and how quickly we were, I guess, encouraged to participate. I think within no time I was, you know, one of the things I've always been passionate about is property. So I started working on that committee, and it wasn't really work. It was actually just a lot of fun, and made a lot of great friendships there. And I think I've also been just amazed at over the years, the programs that have either started at First Pres or have been shepherded or otherwise supported, you know, organizations like Beds and Laugh and, you know, Feed My Starving Children. There's literally probably 20 plus programs that we've had a lot of involvement in as an organization. So, and then the other thing that, you know, I mentioned about kind of the relationships, but I'd say it's also been the cross-generational relationships that have also meant so much. People that maybe I wouldn't have met in the regular comings and goings of my life, with particularly when we had school-age kids, and that's been a real blessing, and something that I'm really thankful for. So that's my 10,000 foot flyby.
That's great. And Troy, I agree with you. I think you took a lot of the words out of my mouth. I think the things that draw me is the fact that we are a community, and the fact that it makes our bigger, larger community smaller. On the train, commuting downtown, out at sporting events for your kids. I sell Christmas trees for a group that gives the money back to our community. And when we're out selling trees, there's always members from our congregation coming by, and we have a lot of fun. And that's the thing that I think draws me the most to our faith community. Well, thank you all. And I guess with Jonathan, maybe at this point, maybe you could close it out by telling everybody how they can get engaged and how they can become members of.
Thank you so much for watching. Some of our members, all of the individuals who spoke at one time or another, have served on the governing body of our church called the session. The word Presbyterian actually comes from the Greek word for elder, presbyteros. An elder is not the person who is old chronologically, but carries some wisdom and experience, and the congregation votes them into that position as being fit to lead them. Presbyterians never allow power to sit in the hand of one individual. It's always shared at every level of our governance, whether it's a committee that oversees our wonderful youth program, or it's the session that oversees the work of the church, or regional bodies in the greater Chicago area and Midwest, and then of course the General Assembly. It is always a collection of individuals who deliberate and discern. We believe God's Spirit is not contained in the voice of one individual or in a special class of individuals, but it's diffuse through the community of faith. And those who are fit to lead us, we know who they are and invite them to help with that honor. Our hope is that you can become part of our congregation. We are delighted just to have you come and worship, but there's so much more than just the worship services and the music programs. There is a life of meaning and purpose in Jesus Christ. I mentioned at the beginning that our stewardship slogan is a home for hope. Well, the difference between a home and hope is the letter M for meaning and the letter P for purpose. We want you to be home in the meaning of Christ's presence. But we also, in this home of First Presbyterian Church of LaGrange, we want you to discover the purpose and hope of being part of the Church of Jesus Christ. If you want to become a member or you want to learn more, please contact the church office. You can use our email address, admin@fpclg. It'll be across the bottom here. You can call me on my cell phone. That number is across the bottom. And I offer that because I think it's important for people to be able to have their questions answered quickly. Or you can grab a church directory, or we can mail you one, and you can talk to any of these individuals who just presented and ask them, is it true? They'll tell you it is. Thank you so much. Hope to see you very soon in person. Bye.